Okay, we are live. And I'm sorry about the delay. I had to finish my breakfast, and now I'm using the webcam here as a mirror again in the morning, which I really shouldn't do, but it is what it is. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so we have quite a few people here in the chat already, and that's wonderful to see. I have a bit of a cold. Actually, I think it's the first time now in 3 years or something that I have a cold. But it's better now. I've been ill for a couple of days actually, somewhat ill, um, and yeah. Okay. The quote in the title is, of course, George Carlin's from George Carlin. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. And I'm going to get a little bit into that. And I have to warn you all. I'm very annoyed today, almost aggressive. I'm just being honest with you guys. I will explain, and I want to thank you all for being here, by the way. And also, well, Alem Bristic, well, thanks a lot for that donation. That's wonderful. Thanks a lot. Um, um, I don't know where to start. Well, let me tell you a story, okay? Let me tell you a story, and it's from real life. And this is something that has recently happened, and it's in the news in this tiny little country where I live, Norway. So you will get from the context where I'm going with this, I guess. So the former prime minister of Norway, a big lady called Erna Solberg. She was the prime minister for 8 years, and she is the leader for the conservatives here. So we had this, so-called conservative party government here for 8 years. Now it's been Labour for 2 years, and we just had the election. I didn't vote this year, this time, and I'm quite okay with that actually, and especially now. So yeah, it seems like suddenly, suddenly, the journalists discovered this very secret information that the former prime minister's husband had been doing a little bit of insider trading, making a little bit of money during those 8 years. Of course, if you share a dinner table and presumably bed with the prime minister, you will get access to some information about what's going on and which the decisions are going to be made, decisions that will affect companies, right? So what he's been doing, and it's so effing obvious to see. He has had access to insider information, and he has traded in the stock market based on that. Now that's illegal. People go to jail for that. And this is not the first case. This is not the first case at all. It's been quite a few of these recently, and I know this is. Sorry, I have to get some. I don't need any medicine. I just look at this cup. Isn't that funny? Yeah, it's from The Walking Dead before it went woke. Yeah. And I'm going to look a little bit like an idiot when drink this, I guess. So some will say I always look like an idiot, but that's just how it is. Jen, so good to see you. Um, yeah, so um, these are the people who will stand there making speeches about values, morals, and they will be very critical about anyone who breaks the law a little bit. Like, let's say if I have a company, and let's say I something like if I drive to a meeting, right, and I park my car, that's expenses that I can send to my accountant, and it goes into the whole accounting concerning expenses and income. But if I do that, or let's say I don't have the receipt for the parking, uh, where I paid for the parking, right? Let's say 2 or 3 hours, then it's illegal for me to try to deduct that from my income on the company. Um, and it's such a minute little thing. These compare that with these people, they've been swindling. I hope that's the right word. Making millions. I mean, do you think they're going to jail? No, they're not going to jail. I'll tell you why. Because it's a big club. Now, this husband of the former prime minister, he has a lawyer friend. Isn't it funny how these people have lawyer friends? They have friends in high places. One of the most powerful lawyers in Norway, and this lawyer is going to help him. He also now have a PR consultant. Um, and I must say, it's so funny how it was totally impossible for these people in the Conservative Party to get the information that the journalists suddenly, just before the election, were asking about concerning the insider trading. So, I mean, when you look at the whole constellation there, this lawyer has another friend, and they were out making a selfie on their cell phone. These three guys, which was the lawyer, this husband of the former prime minister, and an employee in the lawyer firm. That employee used to work. How is it in that department which is going to investigate this insider trader? I hope that's not too complicated. What I'm trying to say is that all these people, they are friends and family. It's a big club, you know. They marry each other. They go to dinner parties with each other. So I hope you get my point there. I'll just leave this whole business with in Norwegian, the corruption thing there. But this is corruption, by the way. It is. It's defined as corruption. Now, I did not vote this time. We had an election, and yeah, I'll just say one more thing about the whole scandal. And it surfaced just 2 days or 5 days after the election. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Funny how that works. Um, yeah, so these people They are in this big club, their friends, their family, and they will protect each other. Why is that? Well, I don't think it's because they are friends. I think it's because they have so much dirt on each other that it's like, you will help me now, and I won't tell anyone about this other thing that you did. That's how I think it works. Daniel, thanks a lot for your donation, and you're absolutely right. So I'm going to address this in a video tomorrow on the main channel. I'm actually sitting here waiting for it to stop raining so much. And I'm going to go out, have my campfire, and talk a little bit about things connected to this. So you will see that video on the main channel tomorrow. But I just wanted to share some thoughts about this thing here. I'm sick and tired of the whole thing. While I'm sitting there reading about this scandal and how these people are all connected, I get an email telling me, oh, you have to pay some more taxes. It's time for your company to pay some more taxes now. I'm not kidding you. Real time, that's what happened. So I'll be, I won't sit there and pretend that I'm not making good money. I am, not from YouTube, not from YouTube, but as an author, I am. But it's not going to be, while we have this taxation system that we have now, it's not going to be. I'm never going to get. How should I put this? I'm never going to. Because of the taxation system, I need a lot more to get above that level, I guess, um, where you're properly rich, like these other people that I'm talking about. So we had this ridiculous comment from one, he's an economist, and he said, and I thought it was a joke, but it was actually not. He said that we need to give the politicians a we need to double the wages for our politicians so that they will not have to do things like trade in the stock market. Are you kidding me? These people are making, let's see, the prime minister, she was making 180,000 euros per year in Norwegian kroner. And I think if you're in the parliament here, you are making 110,000 euros per year. That's double what most people make if they work a full-time job in Norway. So, yeah, I'm just sick and tired of the whole thing, and you got to ask yourself, what's the point? We're never going to win this game when we play it by the rules that they made and that they are changing along the way as it suits them. And I'll say that again. We will never win as long as we keep playing this game, following their rules. We will not win if we keep doing that. Yeah, well, exactly. Having money isn't wrong, it's the love of it. Well, I I will say this, the money that I make, the wealth that I accumulate is not for me, it's for my children. And I'm not making money to make the state rich. I'm making money to help my children. It's that simple. I don't have a fancy car. I don't have a big yacht. I have a nice house. I live in a nice area, but the house was not nice 18 years ago. It's because of hard work, that as well, always hard work, that it is what it is now. But yeah, um, I am going to have to say it again. We have to detach from the system as much as possible. And I don't have all the answers. I know this. I'm getting very tired from this. And I honestly think that the way that they are making us just to keep going, keep producing, paying your taxes, go and vote every 2 or 4 years because they want you to believe in that illusion of democracy. It's it's lethal. It's such an unhealthy way to live. I've seen people working themselves into the grave, and that happens among people who don't make much money, and it happens among people who make quite a lot of money. Contrary to what the socialists want you to believe, a lot of the people who have a lot of money, they also work very, very hard. But we're talking about business owners, we're talking about entrepreneurs. When we look at technocrats, bureaucrats, that's a whole different thing. Let's say if you're now looking to start up a company based which will sell artificial intelligence technology to companies. Let's say that's your thing. That's what you want to do, and you want to make rich fast money on that. You can probably succeed. Morally, you will be. If I was a Christian, I would say it's you go to hell for that, you know. Um, and you would go to hell for doing what these corrupt politicians and their spouses have been doing as well. You know what they've been doing, and I'm sure they are. It's the same in other countries. You know all the weapons they're sending to Ukraine. Where does those weapons? Where do those weapons come from? Do they just appear magically? No, someone, some factory is making them. You know, a factory, several factories are making them. Yes. The yeah, the long nickname there, but yes, I'll just read your comment. Taxpayers' dollars is where those weapons are coming from. Yes. So let's say they make a political decision. This weapons factory, like they did here in Norway. We have a big weapons factory here. You're going to build weapons, rockets, and missiles and stuff. Um, so that they will then be sent to Ukraine. Um, that's a good deal for that company, and the price for the shares in that company will go up because of a political decision like that. I mean, it's a no-brainer. They just take taxpayers' money and pay the company to produce those missiles. And if you have access to that information, well, you know what I would do? I would, if I had no morals, I would buy a lot of shares in that company like the day before that decision was made, like these people have been doing. I mean, it is so it's so disgusting. Uh, Lenny, I'm not in the mood for preaching. I really am not. Please don't start the Christian thing here. Please don't, because I'm so sick and tired of that. Don't do that. Okay. Please show some respect here. Yeah, so playing this game, I'm not interested in that anymore. And I'm going to continue my project, my big life project of detaching from modern society as much as possible. One step along the road there is to get rid of the smartphone, which I did. It's almost 3 years now since I did that. I have reduced my email. Uh, I'm the email thing. I'm doing that only once a week now, and I'm spending more and more time in the outdoors now. Actually, I don't film everything I do in the outdoors in the woods and make videos about that, simply because that kind of content is seems not to be so popular on YouTube, at least not when I do it. Maybe that's just how it is. uh, but that's a sidetrack. I don't spend time in the outdoors because of YouTube, obviously. So yeah. Now let's see here. I'll just have to check if I have to get someone kicked off the chat. I do that when they start. It's like, if you're a Christian, that's great. If you're a Muslim, that's great, and so on and so on. It's just that it's don't come here preaching. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, seems to be okay. I had a problem with that some time ago. You yeah, Andrew, thanks a lot for that wonderful donation, by the way. And I'll read your comment. If everyone didn't pay taxes for 1 year, I'll have to stop the chat. Hold on. Yeah. If everyone didn't pay taxes for 1 year all at once, that would be devastating to the state system, but no one wants to be made an example of. Don't blame anyone for that, but makes you wonder, when will enough be enough? Oh, yeah, Lenny. We'll get Lenny. Sorry, I have to kick Lenny off the channel. Yeah. Okay. So when I do that, then these people, they will just be, nobody will see them. So they will be standing there screaming in an empty room, basically. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's a lot of people following my channels are Christians, and that's great. But it's sort of, there are some people there who are very nasty, very nasty. Okay. um Dogs in Black says, I'll just uh translate here because it's in Norwegian. He says, or she, I don't know from the nickname there, but that I'm a Christian warrior and basically agree with you. um Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. Now I'll try to stick to the topic. Okay. So, of course, we live in a society where things have been made so that we sort of, it's very difficult to detach completely. There are people who have done that. And what seems to be happening to those people is that they feel whole and happy, happier. And it can be very difficult and demanding and so on. But still, you know, it seems like it's a better life. And it is my goal to do that. And I will always be, no, I was going to say always be online. You know, I have my YouTube channels and so on. But it's like I I'm not always online. I'm not really using social media, except actually I have to admit, now that I've had this cold, I've been so bored, and I didn't have the energy to go out, so I've been on Facebook, and yeah, there's some fun stuff going on there, and some, you know, if you have some irony, but anyway, um, yeah. So hold on. So I think that the way things are heading is absolutely towards less freedom and more being connected to some system, some online system. And I don't think that's a good thing. Well, actually, we know that it's a negative thing. It's very bad for your mental health. And also, I will say that there's a reason why I'm telling you that I will always be here on YouTube. It's I think that I will be gone. At some point, I will be gone. Um, it seems that's where we are heading. And there are two reasons for that. Um, Two reasons. The first is that I can see how social media and YouTube also is steering towards very shallow content, right? They are pushing these ridiculous shorts. When I did shorts, because they kind of pressured me to do that a little bit, it hurt my main channel a lot. But that's where they are going. It's going to be mobile phone, smartphone based, and I'm not going to follow them down that path. And the other reason, and this is the most important reason, that I'm saying that I'm not always going to be on YouTube. It's there will be a day where it will stop. Is how they're now controlling everything on the internet, and they're making, in the UK. Can someone tell me, what is it, a online privacy act, something like that, bill? What they did in the UK now, um, where the platform is being held responsible for the content on that platform. Online safety bill. Yeah. Yeah. Why did I say privacy? They're taking away your privacy. That's the whole point. So they are monitoring everything in the UK, at least, everything you're doing, even encrypted things there, as far as I can understand it. But I'm going to have to look more into that. So I have no interest being part of a system where I have to self-censor. I already self-censor in the way that I use code language. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. In Norway, on paper at least, they don't do that yet. Now, I absolutely think that everything you do on the internet is being monitored by the government and companies, different companies, and so on and so on. But making it law and mandatory to do that, it's not in Norway yet, but it is so in the UK. Okay, I will answer. Sorry. You know, these days I'm just getting more and more. I just want to be out in the woods or at sea all of the time. That's that's all that's all I'm thinking about some days. Okay. Anarchy. You're going to laugh now. I got these glasses. I'm going to reply to your question, but I got these glasses, two in one, very very cheap, and I bought them to have lying around. Look at this. Well, actually, it's not that bad. Now I'm going to let's see. Respond to Anarchy Tattoo Studios, Bronx, New York City. Uh, that super chat there. What are your thoughts? Isn't it odd that what's happening is identical to the mark of the beast? Do you believe in prophets? Uh, is that you mean prophecies? Well, that's a very interesting question. And there was another question here that I'm going to get into. I'll just quickly respond to that. I'll take my glasses off. If you look into mythologies, so I'm going to respond in a secular way because that's the only fair thing to do because we have people in the chat now from different religions. So if you look at mythologies, the mark of the beast concept is not unique to Christianity, as far as I understand, and the end time um, mythologies, the end time myths are that it's easy. Well, you could use Norse. I don't like to use the term Norse mythology because that's my belief system. You could use that, but just to be fair, I'll say Norse mythology. You could use that and say that well, this is happening now. So, yeah, um, I hope that was a good enough reply. Um, and I'll have to blow my nose. I'll go over there because I don't want to do it here. Okay. Okay. So the other question here was concerning the Norwegian right to roam law. What is that? Well, it means that we can walk and hike and camp wherever we want, except, of course, right outside of someone's house. You know, use some common sense. Not on a farmer's field or on someone's lawn, right? But except from that, you can hike and camp where you want, which is one of the great things about living in Norway, and they have the same in Sweden and in some other countries as well. I think it's the same in Scotland. I know it's the same in Scotland, and so on. Yeah. So when I'm in England, it's I don't like so much the thing where you can't really you have to walk in designated areas. I don't like that. If I'm an atheist, no, I'm not. Um, let's see here. Yeah, it's not like that in Denmark. Um, it should be, you know. Well, that's very nice of you, Daisy May. That's very nice of you to say. Yeah, well, yes, it was like this in the news. There were some murderers. They had killed two people in some kind of ritual, and they were claiming that they were doing that for Odin, something like that. And you know, I'm fully aware that they are. This is being used to demonize the Norse belief system. Um, but if you try to look at this with an objective eye, objectively, it's very easy to find people who do similar um, for Christ or for the Muslim faith or what have you. You know, it's very very easy to find that, um, and I think that well, yeah, it's obvious. It's like these. I think especially these Christian preachers, the ones with a lot of money um, and so on in the USA, they they like to use things like that. Um, so okay, um, uh, okay, I'll just scroll up a little bit. John, that's very kind of you to say. I try to be kind. That is, um, and Susie Cat, that's very kind of you, and Kattespira. Oh, you guys are being very very kind this morning. Um, Idim Boyd says, I still can't believe they hosted a drag queen show in a church. Okay, I didn't know that. But I'm going to tell you a joke now. Just made up a joke, and I'm just going to say it. Well, you already have people there in dresses, right? Yeah, well, yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't that funny, but a little bit funny. Um, yeah, I don't think drag shows. How is it that that has become a thing at all? I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Um, but I there's a lot of things that I don't get, I guess, these days. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, the drag show thing. Now, obviously, I've never seen a drag show. I've only seen these pictures, and you have these people, this grown men going into kindergartens and school dressed up as women and reading stories to them, things like that. Why? What? What's the deal? What? Why? What is that about? I mean, um, my stance on things like that is, there are struggling authors out there who would love to get some extra income from going to schools, reading, and so on to the kids. Why don't they use proper authors to do that instead of this politically correct, cringy, perverted thing? So just saying as well. Um, Not one says I saw a drag show 20 years ago when I was a kid. Huh. Yeah, I don't really get. Okay, we can talk a little bit about that now. I used to not care so much about uh, the alphabet people, the LGBT thing, that thing, because I just didn't care so much about it, and it's not really something that I see. Or but then that changed this summer for some reason here in Norway, and I feel that for some reason Norway got woke this summer. And I think that what happened was that last year during the this Pride month, there was a guy who killed people. He started shooting and he killed people during a one of these parades. Now it was like you couldn't say anything, criticize this, because then you're a horrible person. Because don't you know that they are killing gay people for being gay now? So you shouldn't criticize the whole pride movement. That was the that was what was going on there. Now there are gay people. I've even seen it here in the chat who are saying that they do not support pride, the pride movement. They do not support all the litter thing. They think it's disgusting. And yeah, and it's like when they are now pushing this onto children, which they have now started doing, and I don't know for how long they have been doing this. I know it's quite recent in Norway, but it is in the schools here as well now. I'm so lucky and that I got my children through those early years in school before they started doing that, and it needs to stop. And I could go into details, but I can tell you that in from what I have read, it's just as bad in Norway now as it is in, for instance, in the UK. It needs to stop. It's hurting people, hurting kids, and yeah, it's this should be very easy. We shouldn't even have to discuss this. When you're a child, you should just be a child, you know. And I guess that um, people who work with kids, they know that kids, they have a sort of, don't get me wrong here, but kids have a perception of their own, even their own sexuality in a way, but it's like they are small children, so it's in a very different way, right? But what they're doing now, as far as I understand, is that they're taking that, which is a very innocent thing, and they're connecting that to the LGBT thing. That's wrong, and it must stop. Uh, so let's see here. Yes, and I've heard about the term MAPS. Uh, yeah, it's a disgusting term. It stands for minor attracted persons, something like that. Um, and I don't think I can say the word what that really is here on YouTube. And did you know? And this was revealed not long ago that at least in Norway they included that in the early days of what was then called gay rights. Well, gay rights is great, you know. That's we should all have equal rights. Nobody should be discriminated because of um, their sexuality, right? As long as it is between consenting adults. But they actually included those those people. They did. And they tried to close access to those documents, proving that in 2021. So, what I think happened is that someone in that movement forgot that those documents were out there. And it was a little bit too late. But for some strange reason, this has not become a big thing in media. Why not? Because I think it's a big, well, we could say the big elephant in the room, you know. Uh, so I'll scroll up a little bit. Yeah. And I will say that what I think now, I'm not an expert on, well, I'm just one of those boring straight white males. So what do I know, right? But I would think that gay people hate that that LGBTQ movement is having associations with those poets who are attracted to children. I mean, I think so. Okay. No, let's see here. Um, Scroll up a little bit. Yeah. So uh, it's moving fast now here. It's funny, isn't it, that they are imposing this online safety bill, which, on paper, most of it looks great. That the part where they protect people, but how they're going to do that, it's very interesting, isn't it? They're going to monitor everything. Um, it's just to protect people. It's to protect you, right? At the same time, they are allowing grown men who are, how should we say this, who seem to be a little bit too interested in little kids. They are allowing those into schools and into kindergartens. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Slimo, a little bit of joke here. Well, we need some jokes. Um, Says that I was attracted to I'll have to spell it, Miner. She was covered in coal dust, but very hot. Ah, yes. Not many women are into the, coal mines and things like that. That kind of work, I guess. Uh, yeah, well, if you go to people are asking, can we follow you per email if YouTube cancels your channel? I'm going to have to start saying this in my videos now, but if you go to my website, there's the website address. And also there's a link in every video description. If you go there, you will easily find a subscription option. If you subscribe, you will get my blog posts. So you will get an email saying that I have a new blog post, and that's where you find my videos. Every video will have a blog post. It will be sent out in a blog post. Okay. Yeah, well, Kat the Spira wants me to talk about the forest, what it means to us, why it matters. Daniel, I am okay. So the forest. Remind me if I forget. I think I will not forget. I will talk about that. Yeah, the unsubscribing. Elia, I'm sorry. YouTube will unsubscribe from people from my channels now and then. Okay, but Daniel is saying that I live outside of Oslo. The things you are talking about are happening at schools, libraries, kindergartens, and at festivals. Yeah, I have noticed a shift. Um, and by the way, if you're hearing some strange sounds, that's just one of the dogs sleeping over here. Um, Yeah. Now I've never really enjoyed going to festivals. Um, well, I enjoyed the bushcraft show in England mostly, um, and I've been to quite a few Viking festivals. But what I saw happening there, and I'll have to say this, is that what started as a way of recreating history, like creating a sense of being back in the Viking age, if you will, without the without bad inhuman parts, of course. Um, it started as that, but now it has become, most Viking festivals now. That sound is just flapping of the ears. It has become like a mixture of a feminist camp where they practice drum circles and mixed with a tattoo convention and body positivity um, get together thing. That, that's that's how I would describe it. Um, and yeah, that a lot of these substantial women with dyed hair and all that. So, which is fine, but it's not something that I'm interested. It's not an environment that I feel is for me, if you get my meaning. So, yeah, body positivity. I'll get to the forest, by the way. It's funny how they hijacked that term, because if I had not known, I would have thought body positivity would mean something like taking care of yourself, you know, not eating a lot of crap, uh, getting some exercise, spending time outdoors and things like that. That would be body positivity. It's like me, I'm 51, and if I sit down, like only this week now, I haven't been working out because I've had a cold. I feel horrible actually, and it's like if you sit down and don't do anything, you will look like that. Doesn't take very long either. And how is that being positive towards your body? That's being negative towards your body, right? It's we were meant to be physically active, so that's body positivity, isn't it? Um, yeah, yeah. Well, Paula, do you have a cold? You had a cold, yeah. Well, you know, yeah. This one was not so bad this time here. I couldn't. I won't even claim that it was the man flu. So, yeah. Um, yeah, the forest. Okay. Now I feel sometimes a little bit bad because I should spend more time out at sea. Uh, well, I walk by the sea every day, and I have a boat. I'm out at sea some now and then. You know, for me, it's like it's part of the same thing. It's part of nature. Um, but I find that especially since the fjord is it's very cold, and the inner part of the fjords. on the base get covered in ice during winter. So it's not really so easy to go sailing during winter. The forest is there all year round, and I live right at the edge of the forest. Actually, the forest goes into my property, and I've always had a connection with the forest, more so than with the mountains, I guess. I like the mountains, but I think I'm a lowlander. Lowlander. Yeah, I like this. I like the forest. It's important because it's our natural environment. You know, we are not meant to live in an environment dominated by concrete and buildings. And I would add to that that we are not meant to live in an environment with the amount of radiation that we have now. 5G. I didn't have to cough there, I just did. And all that. So it's important to spend time out in nature, and there's something about it. Sitting down, having a campfire. There's something about it that is very difficult to describe, and now not difficult to well, it's difficult to describe as well, but it's very difficult to define. That was what I was trying to say. Um, and I don't think you can be fully that you can be complete as a human being if you don't have a connection with nature. I don't understand what you mean by that. Yeah, and I will add to that what I'm going to I'm going to complain a little bit, just a little bit again. Some say I do that all the time. It is what it is. I will say this. Um, and this is something that becomes very visible and obvious when you don't have a smartphone. Um, People are not really connected to nature anymore. And they might say that they like to spend time out in in nature and so on. They might even walk up a hill and take a photo there for Instagram, holding their hands out like this for some reason. Especially the women do that. But then they go back home and they spend another 5 hours looking at that smartphone. When was the last time, I would like to ask those people, when was the last time you sat down, you spent time out in the wild without a camera, without a smartphone, maybe even without a mobile phone? Shock and horror. I often go out in the woods or you know, get in a car without my mobile phone. I grew up without a mobile phone. It's perfectly possible to move without being connected by phone. So, when was the last time you went out there in nature just to be? Most people, they don't do that. I still do that. you know. And it does make you feel lonely. And I'll tell you why. Um, it's because you're starting. Well, I am starting to realize that there are not many people like us left. There are not many people who have the ability to just be. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I know that. I know I'm on YouTube. And I will make videos and then I upload videos. Or now, because I'm waiting for the weather to improve, I can make and talk to you guys here. It's great. Use technology, but don't let technology use you. And that's the problem because most people, like 99% of the population, they are in that category where they are being used by technology. I would say that if you spend more than 1 hour, one hour using a smartphone every day, you're being used by technology. Nobody needs to spend more than 1 hour using the smartphone. Well, actually, nobody needs a smartphone. Nobody needs to spend more than 1 hour looking at social media per day. So, yeah. And there are not many people who think like that anymore. Canadian Spider-Man says, how about 15 minutes? That seems better. Yeah, I said 1 hour because, to be honest with you, I enjoy watching some YouTube videos, and if 15 minutes, maybe I will. That's not enough for some of the videos. um, yeah, Andrew, I was going to say exactly that. Andrew, I'll read your comment. Completely understand. That's why I don't like hiking with friends anymore. They mean well, but they think it's weird to just sit and be and take it all in, so they try to talk, kills the vibe. Yeah, talking is great. If you want to talk, I think that's great. But what I find is, especially younger people, they have to look at their smartphone out in the woods. Why is that? You know? Yeah. Yeah, I'm still on Patreon. Uh, Still on Patreon. There is contact information in the video description to all my videos and live streams if you want to send something in the post. Yeah, so that would be very kind. Hot cocoa expensive here? No, not really. No. Um, yeah. Horror business says the woods are super black metal. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of true. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm starting up bushcraft courses now, and I'm not going to tell people uh, coming to the courses that they can't bring their smartphone. Of course they can, and I think that they will not be sitting there looking at the smartphone much because they will be busy with all the stuff that we are going to do. Um, but I am prepared for the fact that there will be someone, I guess, who will be sitting there looking at their smartphone. And if that happens, I will kindly ask them to finish what they're doing, and you know what I'm saying. It's yeah. Uh, can you battle axe destroy a phone? Well, actually, well, of course you can. Yeah. The Gilded Age Phoenix says Bjorn seems to be a ladies' man. Well, I can tell you what, there are not many ladies out in the woods. Um, isn't that strange? Because it seems to be a. Also, I see it on the content here on YouTube. The outdoors videos, they have like 10% of the viewers are female, while my other videos usually have around 25% females watching. Um, I don't know why that is. Uh, yeah, I do get some marriage proposals actually. For some reason, there seems to be a trend there. Um, some God and Jesus thing there. I think what's going on there is that they see this heathen from Norway, and they have this idea that he should be married and baptized or something like that. It's kind of funny, but I don't know. But that seems to be I've gotten some of those. Yeah, yeah. There's this conversion thing going on there. I didn't know about that, but uh, that seems to be a thing. Yeah. So okay, Enrico, the latest Jom-speaking novel. You will have to ask the Dutch publisher. I don't keep up with the dates concerning all those publications in the different languages, but as far as I remember, they no, I couldn't. I don't. No, I can't remember the dates, but they are actively translating, and it's moving forwards all the time. So yeah, yeah. So I'm going to finish this live stream, I guess, and I'm just hoping for nicer weather, uh, and also that they will. I have my bicycle at a bicycle repair shop, because when I was in this car accident recently, my bicycle was acting as a deflector on the back, on the rack on the back of my car, which was lucky for me, but not for the bicycle. So hopefully they will have repaired it now, because it was kind of crushed. And I need my bicycle to get out to the filming location that I had planned. So yeah, that's uh, that's what I'm hoping for. Okay. Um, okay. Uh, Bon P. Well, that's. I'll just read that comment before we finish here. Says women are not encouraged to be outdoors people. My mom quote, wouldn't you rather be a nice secretary or nurse instead of a mechanic? I get your point there. That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Going to have to Nini Maginster, good to see you. But I'm going to have to finish this live stream now. And thank you for joining in. And thank you for all the super chats. Hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you kind of in the video on the main channel tomorrow. Okay. And if you don't get a notification from YouTube, you can always go to my website, subscribe, and you will get an email notification there saying that there's a blog post containing that new video. Okay? We'll talk soon. Bye.